What's up, internet families and friends? It's Draeden here, and today I want to go over the process I use when I create strings for EDM music. So to do that, I'm gonna use my last song, which is called Crossfire, and I'm gonna walk you through all the MIDI notes, the VST I've used, and also all the post process on the mix bus. So let's jump into it.
History deleted.
Alright, so here we are.
I was caught in the crossfire, and there's nothing now. Tie my heart to a hot fire and burn me down. I was caught in the crossfire. So when did you turn into such a cold liar? What did you do?
Alright, cool. So first thing first, the good tip to compose strings is to actually lay down some piano chords. So then what you can do is to take different part of the piano and assign it to different part of the orchestra. So here what I did. Then what you can do is to copy and paste that same MIDI that you did on the piano for the strings. And in that case, I've chosen staccatos. Those are staccatos from Metropolis Arc 1. All right, so it's the exact same pattern here. Next, what I did is that I probably copy this right here. And then as you can see, I just muted a couple of notes and changed some of the pattern. So here what it sounds like. And what's important to remember here is that you want each section to cover different part of your spectrum. So if we listen to the high section of the strings, we can see right here, it's covering up to I don't know, 300 to, I don't know, 5K. And if we take a look at the lower strings, it's doing more of the bottom section. For the low strings, what I've used is also Metropolis Arc 1. And I also used Omnisphere. And in that one, you can see that it only emphasizes certain notes. All right, so together. Great, so once you have that, you know that it already sounds good. So we're just gonna try to make it sound a bit louder and more aggressive. So to do that, what I did is that I print the audio first, so it doesn't crash my CPU. So let's have a listen. Need that. Something that I did also to remove some reverb on those strings. I've put them on beats and with that front arrow, and I've just reduced the number. Usually it's at 100, but I just lower it at maybe 90. I'll show you what it does when I crank it down. See? It's acting a bit like a gate, right? So let's put that back to 90. And as I said, what's great right now is that each of the different sections cover a different place in the spectrum. Cool, so now I've grouped that and I've sent it to a bus. So I'm gonna show you what I did right here. So for the mixing, what I did first is that I applied a neutron and probably click on that track assistant and analyzed it. And as you can see, I like what the plugin recommend me for the different settings, but I just put the mix at around 50% just because I wanted to put some of my own settings and plugin after that. So we can see that the plugin recommend us to add some transient shapers, some exciters, so it's just some, you know, harmonics to the sound and a bit of EQ, and that's it. So next, I've applied some compression. But as you can see, I've only compressed maybe 2 or 3 dB maximum for those strings. Alright, cool. This endless smile is just for this transition, so don't mind that. Next, I've applied more saturation. So this is only a preset actually. It's under saturation and it's the basic saturator. So I'll show you before and after. So as you can see, it applies a bit of distortion on the low end and a lot on the high end, but with some gentle saturation. I think I also lowered this because usually it's around maybe 4 dB. So I lowered that just a bit at maybe 2 dB. So with that, the string sounds louder, but also cleaner, I might say. Next, I've applied this S1 shuffler, and I've only used that because I had a voice in the center, so I wanted to spray the strings a little bit. But usually if you don't have like a vocal right in the middle, you don't have to use that. So you can see I've only pushed it a little bit more to the side right here. All right, so next I've put an EQ. And I've cut everything below like 200 Hertz on the side. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend at least cut it at around maybe 100 or 120 so it doesn't get muddy on the sides. Something else to keep in mind is that since we've stacked different layers of strings, there's going to be a lot of information around this area. So this is why I've cut maybe like 4 dB around 300 Hertz, and I've cut also 3 dB around maybe 900 or 1K, something like that. Also, I've automated this just for the build-up, so you're gonna see it moved when the kicks comes in. This is the build-up, right? I don't know why my camera can't like focus today. All right, next we're gonna put a multi-band dynamic, and as you can see, it's only in between like 120 and 500. So it's really gonna control the low end of the strings because it was really dynamic. So this is why I decided to apply this. Right. And finally, I've put a limiter. But as you can see, it doesn't really do that much. And finally, this is what we have now.
I was caught in the crossfire, and there's nothing now, there's nothing now. Tie my heart to a hot fire and burn me down. I was caught in the crossfire. So when did you turn into such a cold liar? What did you do?
So there's maybe like 3 or 4 things that I want you to keep in mind when you're mixing strings. First is to really be aware of where's the energy in your string section. So if we listen to only the high part, we can see there's a lot of energy right here. On the second one, there's also a lot of energy that going on right here, maybe right there. So it's important to control that. You can use a multi-band dynamic like I'd show you, or you can use, fab filter and use a dynamic EQ just like that. Where it needs to be controlled, okay? Second would be to saturate your strings with some, light distortion. And finally, to compress it, you can use some different compressor like this, or if you don't have this one, you can use some limiter also. It really depends. If you are composing strings in a verse or a chorus just like this, you don't have to, squash the sound super heavily like that. Okay, even if it sounds louder, it doesn't mean it's better, right? But if you're composing strings for maybe your drop, you might want to compress it a little bit harder and really squash that sound, right? So that's it for today. I hope you've learned something. If you have any question, please write them down in the comment section. Also, if you have any recommendation for future tutorial, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
I was caught in the crossfire, and there's nothing now.